Welcome back, YouTubers, to my everyday encounter in an ordinary life of an Aspie. As you are aware, at this point of time, I'm creating a full-part series, hopefully, on autistic burnout, or just burnout in general for autistics, how it feels like and what it feels like. And also, I defined in my last piece what is autistic burnout, as well as another one called social fitting in kind of autistic burnout, how it feels for people like us, basically, on the social burnout stage and all that. And all further ado, this is part 2, which is going to be the symptoms of the autistic burnout, and then, as I said before, hopefully the tips and advice for you all to just bear in mind, and if there's a way to fix that problem when an autistic is feeling burned out. Even though, as I said in the last piece, however, that with us autistics, we get really so self-absorbed in ourselves and the one task that we're doing, be it, for example, as I said, we're focusing on trying to do a plane or something, that we want our motor engine of that plane to be perfect, so that when we're flying around and on those remote controls, obviously it will go well. So, in all further ado, as I'm saying, what does autistic burnout look like? The symptoms in young children, it's the increase in high levels of the meltdowns that we go through in that young age. However, how this happens and what all works for this young autistic children, that they will have the tendency to have that fight-flight response, like we all do, you know, when something is triggering that response, be it if we're getting so overwhelmed to the point of that we're thinking, oh, I can't do this anymore, we need to do something about it, or just that fight-flight response, thinking that, you know, that we get so flustered to the point that we get sweaty and we start, you know, panicking, and then that's when that panic attacks occur and whatnot, you know. Sometimes it's also with this fight response, as we know, sometimes our body can't continue to fight anymore. Sometimes, you know, the body and mind will come to the point that they can't tend to handle enough of that situation, or just the thought patterns that's racing around in our heads, basically, that it has had enough of whatever has given that fight-flight response in reality, you know. Then obviously the sensory stimulation or stress will come in and take over our bodies, or even the young child's bodies, and they don't realise that. However, when a young autistic child does have that situation of having this burnout, chances are that they're having a lot going on in their lives, like the big changes, like the big move, basically from, you know, being a preschooler to a primary kid, or just moving from house to house, another house, and then maybe another one is that they're facing in reality. They have to, when they move, make new friends, even though they were so comfortable making friends, you know, of their own ones, even though sometimes it can be good to make new friends along the way, and hopefully the friends along the way will just basically, you know, accept us for who and what we are. Okay, for this though, however, of the symptoms for a young child with autistic burnout, it can be, one, the lack of motivation. They feel that they can't do anything. They're just so tired and out and depressed and whatnot, sort of thing. 2 is the lack of energy. No matter what they do, as I said, they're self-absorbed, and basically that lack of energy then creates tiredness and clumsiness, which leads to that, which is number 4 or 5 now, is they'll act that they don't care when really they do, but then they have that, you know, attitude, I don't give a flying toss, and they'll have their temper meltdowns, or as they do, and walk away and, you know, complain at you. Sometimes another one is number 6, is they can't look after yourself, so they neglect themselves, sort of thing. Number 7 is less energy to do everyday tasks, like what I mentioned so many times, and sometimes that leads to poor hygiene, pretty much, as well as, you know, just bad smells, bad odours on their breath, bad smells and odours on their body, bad smells and odours on their clothes and whatnot, that they don't obviously clean themselves, you know, due to that hygiene. And number 7 or 8, as I said, I'm losing count here, so bear with me, guys, sorry. Loss of memory on where things are, be it if, like, they're growing into teenage years, and that they basically, I've got a driver's license, you know, and I've got a car, and they misplaced maybe the keys, or what is it that you're going to do next, you know, maybe is another thing that they'll lose their memory on, you know, or something that you told them, and then later on you're thinking, oh, hang on, this doesn't feel right, you know. However, now this is the last part of it, which is the symptoms of adults for autistic burnouts. In autistic adults, however, this is less understood to why this is happening, or to why the burnout is happening, how it's happening, and all the other unanswered questions that we still are in the process of researching, doing some gather information to actually make it precise enough to the point. Hopefully it will give us a clearer, better understanding and clarity of everything around us, or to why it's happening for us adults, you know. However, though, in the neurotypicals, basically how I look at it, who burns out, they'll have some R&R while they're going on vacation. They may just want to, you know, have time out for themselves. Some of us SBs do too. Or even sometimes they'll just do R&R just to lighten their load, whatever it may be, you know. Because as we know, as we get older, we have a lot more workload, be it, you know, workload / responsibilities that basically, you know, we may have work, we may have kids, we may own a house and have to make the house tidy and whatnot, to the point. But in autistic adults, symptoms are quite similar to autistic childs, however. You know, yet with autistic teenagers, things are going well to a point in school, and they're in a routine, obviously, and that they're doing things as a timetable structure, because obviously, as I said, sometimes for me especially, timetable structures and that are important, because if I don't have that, my world will just come crashing down, sort of thing. So yeah, pretty much how I'll say this now, actually, in this part of the piece. How to fix the burnouts. Is there a cure? Is there not? Obviously, burnouts can be manageable, however. You know, it can allow it for our brains to be healed if we're eating the right foods, we exercise, we do all these other everyday stuff, you know, in the mind, body and spirit. Basically, we need to basically look after ourselves, you know. It's important, obviously. Time is a key factor, but sometimes many people think just because we're in our burnout stage, we need to be rushed. It can't be rushed, you know. Sometimes people may expect it may stop within a day for that burnout, but sometimes it can pre-occur pretty much for us, you know. Some of those burnouts may last longer than others that suffers the burnout stages. Stimming and the mental being can be good. As I mentioned before, what stimming is and what we can do for stimmers, you know. Stimming is good because obviously it gives us something else to think about while we're preoccupied with in that stim. Stim, obviously, as I said before, is like something sometimes we can't control over, when be it like clicking our pens, you know, or something that we find comfort for ourselves, regardless what it may be. And then another one is obviously with the stimming and the mental being. Sometimes we might find something that we're comfortable with, that stim. You know, with me, when I stim, I'm usually, you know, playing around with my hair, as you notice on some of my videos, noting an old hum it to a tune, maybe if I was listening to some music, you know. Sometimes when I stim, also, basically, what I find comforting for me is, like, if I've got animals around, I'll just socialise with animals. And last but not least is obviously eating the right foods at the right times, as well as exercise. These are the important key factors, obviously, how to fix it, even though, like I said, it can be manageable. It's not curable to a point, even though many people think that there is a cure, because obviously, you know, you can, but that's fine. And all further ado, though, this ends basically part 2 of the autistic burnout, basically of the symptoms, what it looks like.